Hi, this is George Alger. Welcome to today's segment of Our Ventura TV. Today's topic is inner guidance, and our guest expert is Susan Burrell, who is an author, a podcaster, and a speaker. And the book that she authored is Live an Empowered Life. Welcome, Susan.
Hey, George. Nice to be here.
Great. So, what is inner guidance?
Okay, so I can only talk about it from my experience. So, inner guidance for me is taking time often, sometimes daily. That's the best thing, to just get quiet for a moment. Some people call it meditation, some people call it mindfulness, but to get quiet because we all have inner wisdom. So we often think we're supposed to go outside ourselves to ask people's opinions so that we can make a good choice. But if we take even 5 minutes a day to just sit with ourselves and ask the question, what do I need to know today? Or one of my questions is, how can I serve today? And then that inner guidance or that inner wisdom often will show up, maybe not in that 5 minutes that I'm listening, but during the day, something will happen. I'll think, oh, I'm supposed to go do that now. And that to me is what inner guidance is, listening within, not going outside of myself to source other people's opinions because we're all unique and we're all different. And as we see in the world, our perspectives are so completely different. There's no one person that's exactly like me or like you. And so listening to inner guidance, inner wisdom is, I think, like the first thing to do every day. And even before you go to bed at night, just,
All
how
right,
did the day go?
Susan, how would you characterize this source of guidance?
Oh, that's a good question, George. So for me, I know in my experience, because I've been a spiritual teacher and an intuitive for all my life, basically, is that we all have this divine spark. That's what I call it. I think of it as inner light. It's when we move into our heart space, it's that love that we are, that we often cover up. And so that divine spark is the whole thing that fuels us, really. It's not me getting up in the morning and doing my to-do list or getting my degrees or any of that. It's listening within, because that's the whole, so I call it source. That's the source of all life.
Okay, so could it also be stated that this is sort of like a spiritual essence of self?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely. And so here's what I want everybody to know is that spiritual essence of self, that inner divine light or spark, has no denomination, right? It's not attached to any religion. And when people say, I'm spiritual, other people go, oh, well, that, I don't want to be that. But the truth is we're all that inner divine light or essence. We all are. You can't get away from it.
Okay, good. So can you give us a practical tip in terms of how someone might apply this in their life?
Well, the first thing I said was to take time daily. There's lots of apps nowadays where you can do mindfulness practices. My favorite is Insight Timer, but to take time daily to sit. The other thing for me, and this is for me, is I work affirmations, and affirmations are always a positive statement, right? But how I work it, lots of people use affirmations like a Band-Aid, they stick it up, it's all on Post-its around their house and they put it up here and they forget. So what I do is in my daily practice, I work an affirmation, I revisit it during the day. Today, my affirmation is, in divine union, I trust the unknown, I relinquish the known, and I live in happiness, creativity, and freedom. And I'll revisit that throughout the day. That affirmations consciously used do create inner transformation. And the third thing I would say, most women do this, I don't know about a lot of guys, is journaling. But in a focused way to get the garbage out of your head, because we all run stories, right? It's all negative stories, you know, the story about our ex, whatever, the story about our job, the story about the coronavirus, whatever, to journal it with intention to leave it in the book. You don't go back and reread what you wrote. You just get it out of your head, which creates more space inside your head and your heart to be more of who you are.
Nice. Now, how about just going for a walk? Would that still qualify as a quietude?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely. I walk daily, and that is part of my practice. It usually takes me 15 minutes to get the garbage out of my head, because I'm running the to-do list or the story of who done me wrong thing. But after that, then I can kind of relax in my body. And the physicality of movement, I've found when you're working in affirmation or shifting a belief system, the physical activity helps the brain to download it faster. Why, I don't know. I'm sure there's all sorts of neuroscience around that. But walking, even if you're exercising on a treadmill, right, to work it while you're doing it, the body it's like the body soaks it up like a sponge. I think it kind of drops into our DNA, actually.
Okay. So this point of being quiet, it could include motion, or it could
Mm-hmm.
include being still and meditating,
Mm-hmm.
or journaling, or other things. How about someone who isn't familiar with any of these things? Well, other than maybe going for a walk and sitting still, but someone who would like to just take this idea to reduce stress from their life, what might you suggest?
Well, the walking is a good stress reliever for me. Um, it's been proven that meditation, whether it's listening to guided meditations, which there's many of them out there, um, or just trying to have a single focus, like you light a candle and you look at that. It's been proven that meditation not only reduces stress, it releases endorphins that are slightly different from when you exercise. And so it makes you feel more calm, more centered. And when we're centered and grounded within ourselves, then we make better choices in life. We and part of it, when you develop it as a practice, a daily practice, then it becomes easier to go out into your day more centered, more grounded, and less stressed. And when you do run into stress when you're out in your day, it's easier, at least in my experience, to drop back in, just taking a deep breath, right? Just taking that pause while you're noticing, wow, I am stressing out because of whatever it is. So.
Okay, good. And then coming back to this taking a walk. So, since that's something many people do, is there something you might recommend in terms of what to think, like repeat affirmations or something else?
Yes. When I entered into divorce, which was a surprise to me, I used to live in Ojai and hike often in the riverbed. And like I said, it would take me 15 minutes to get out of my own head. And I remember thinking, okay, well, what do you want? And I thought, I want to love myself, because I realized I had lost all sense of self-esteem, And so my mantra, my affirmation that I would use daily as I was hiking was, I love myself more than I ever have in my life. And I would just repeat it with the step. And consequently, when I got out of the process of divorce and was on my own, I realized that I did love myself more than I ever had. And I was respecting myself. And so consequently then, that whole transition brought me greater freedom and happiness and joy, because I was practicing it daily.
Wow, thank you very much.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so we're out of time. We need to wrap up here, Susan, but is there a website that viewers could go to for more information? And do you have a real brief summating message?
Absolutely, George. My website is Susan Burrell, BURRELL.com. If you're curious, go and investigate. There's all sorts of really great tools on that website for you. And actually, what we've talked about today of developing a silence practice or a meditation or mindfulness practice, whether you're sitting or walking, is really important, because in the reality of life, us individually, are the ones that are responsible for our lives, not the people outside of us, but we are. And when we take that time to recognize that inner guidance, that divine essence within, and listen, we begin to be self-responsible. And to me, that's part of my mission, self-responsibility.
Thank you.
Listen, I had to practice it, so I think everybody else should.
All right, Susan, very good. So we're going to end off here. This is George Alger signing off for this segment of Our Ventura TV. Until we meet again.